I'm glad you guys are joining me. I'm going to do going to try and share this to my page so a few people can reach it there. And then we'll get going. This storm is going to be here all day, so we have lots of time to talk about it. See if I can get it here. All right. I am sharing that. Let me go back to the WSBT page so I can see questions. We're going to talk about this winter storm here this morning. It's really the first big storm that we've had to talk about this season. Hello, Heather. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for the first person commenting today. Okay. I'm going to be checking this for questions or comments coming in. I am going to talk about the winter storm here, and as we're getting into it now. I will have to put on my glasses so I can read that. But welcome to winter, right? We're finally in January, and we're talking about our first big winter storm of the season. We've had some snow, obviously, before this, starting at Halloween, but this is really the first one that's going to cause some issues. This is not the biggest storm we've ever seen, but it certainly is impactful for a Friday during the day and into the start of the weekend. And there are basically three elements that we've really been focused on forecasting, and it's the snow amounts, because that will affect all of our travel across our area. But then also the wind is going to play a big role in the snow, especially into tomorrow and into Sunday. And then we get a brutal blast of cold air. It's not going to be record breaking, but it is going to be a stretch of weather where we start to see things that don't normally happen. And when we see things not working right, when it gets really cold, wind chills by Sunday will be 20 to 30 below. So that's why this storm system rolling through today is really impactful, because it impacts not only today when it's here, but it will have an after effect tomorrow and on Sunday and early next week. So as of right now, the latest storm track has this snow starting. Most of you have at least seen some of the snow start. We're right around 32, 33 degrees right now. Temperatures in Indianapolis are around 36, 37. And I know that doesn't feel much different, but that is the difference between getting snow and sleet here and getting just rain showers in Indianapolis. And that's what makes this forecast. This forecast has been a headache for us here in the weather department, because that rain-snow line will affect our snow amounts. I still think by tomorrow morning, many of you will have about 4 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. Closer to the lakeshore, it's going to be a little bit higher, but it's going to be that heavy, wet, slushy snow because of the warmer temperatures. And we get into tomorrow and the colder air, and we're going to transition from the slushy, heavy, wet snow that we drive through today to more of a typical snow that's a little bit lighter in the morning hours. And then we'll even transition even more to the lake effect snow, which happens Saturday night. And that snow will be that light, fluffy, airy snow. And if you're looking at some of the snow totals and thinking 4 to 6 inches, we do that all the time. And that is not untrue, but we get the lake effect snow and we get the slushy, heavy, wet system snow. Heavy, wet, slushy system snow, you can have much smaller amounts, even 2 or 3 inches of that snow, and it makes it really hard to drive through. We could get a foot of lake effect snow, that kind that's just light and airy, and you can drive your car right through it. It just causes visibility issues. So there are certain times where lots more snow is less impactful, and when smaller amounts are more impactful when it's like this slushy snow that we're going to see today. And that's what we see on our radar right now. I'm looking at the storm tracker radar, and the dark purple, which is the most intense snow, is right over our area. We're starting to see snow in areas like Benton Harbor and LaGrange and northern Elkhart County, where we didn't see that earlier. I'm looking at comments. If you have a question that you would like to share with me, or if you would like to let me know something that is going on, we're looking at, I have a question from Pam. Driving from Indy to Warsaw tonight, will it be bad? Well, Indy to basically about 24 is mostly going to be rain. There have been some areas of snow in there. There've been some bursts of snow, but it's mostly been rain and a little bit of sleet. Once you get north of 24, that's when you're going to start to see some of the snow amount. So by tonight, probably southern Kosciuszko County, southern Warsaw or south of Warsaw area, probably around the 2 to 4 inch mark for snow totals, and it will be that slushy snow. So progressively, you go from Indy where it's raining north, you're going to see the roads deteriorate as you get north. Now, if you kept going north into Michigan, I'd say not do it, because once we get to really the Michigan line, you start to get the 6 inches or more, and that's going to be really difficult for travel. Brenda, thanks for your report. It says really coming down in Mishawaka. Looks like a blizzard in Niles. That's the storm system. Now we're looking at storm total accumulation in Elkhart, closer to 4 inch or closer to 6 inch. If you mean Elkhart City or Elkhart County, because southern Elkhart County will be probably closer to 4, northern Elkhart County will probably be closer to 6 inches by the time we head into tonight. Don, thanks for your note from Plymouth. Good morning. From Mishawaka, how can we be in a warning and others in a travel advisory? So travel advisory and a warning are different. Different agencies are issuing that. Usually travel advisories come from more of the emergency management and from Road Commission. And they're really going by the amount of accidents and what's actually happening on the roads. When we're talking about a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory coming from the National Weather Service, that is for the specific weather conditions. Now, obviously, there's an element to what the road conditions will be because of those weather conditions, but a winter storm warning has the criteria of how much snow and wind is going to affect us. Where travel advisories usually happen as the system has started and as people are actually seeing what's happening to the roads. And so you'll see travel advisories issued when police have a lot of slide-offs or there are a lot of issues happening that are currently happening. So that's why you can have different conditions, because you may be under a warning and the conditions don't warrant that travel advisory until later in the day. The warning usually will encompass the start of the event to the end of the event, and sometimes the travel advisories won't line up exactly that way because the worst conditions are just a smaller period of time later in that warning. Snowing hard in Napanee. Who will be getting the lake effect Saturday night? LaPorte County. Okay, so Saturday, actually, DeMarco, I'm going to try and show Futurecast. So if you want to go, I'm going to try and show you a couple of graphics of what's happening here with this system. Let me know when you're on that graphic. I have Futurecast up in there. Okay, so we're up in there. Okay, so this is the system, and notice this is 4 o'clock, Friday at 4 o'clock. This is afternoon. This is the system snow. The system is going to be most intense this afternoon and this evening. The back side of the system, I'm going to pause this here. There's Saturday morning. That's 5 o'clock Saturday morning. That is still system snow. It won't be as slushy as today because it will be colder, but it's still the system snow. And then the system exits. And then watch when these little lines of snow start to show up. This really happens Saturday afternoon. That's the lake effect. There's 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. So once the system is out of here, the wind will be out of the northwest for a short time period. And in Indiana and Michigan, we will see these bands of lake effect snow. So on Saturday afternoon, there will be lake effect snow in Indiana with that northwest flow. But once we get into Sunday, the winds shift, and when we get into Sunday, I'm going to put a pause on this here. You see how there's Saturday night, that's 10 o'clock, and there's Sunday morning. So initially, we see the winds out of the northwest when that system first passes by our area. But once we get into Sunday morning, the winds shift from the northwest to more of a, here, I'm trying to draw on this, more of a west direction, or even a little bit southwest. And when that happens, it focuses the snow north. So when the winds are out of the northwest, it creates these bands that go into Indiana. But when the winds shift, then it focuses more on that Michigan area, and that's what will happen on Sunday. So on Saturday afternoon and evening, there will likely be snow showers and lake effect snow showers in a lot of places. On Sunday, the lake effect will really focus on our Michigan communities. So when we're talking snow totals, we're talking about 4 to 6 inches for most of our area, 6 to 8 inches near the lake shore. But in Berrien, and especially Berrien and Cass County, On Sunday, we'll probably see another 4 to 6 inches of lake effect snow. So underneath, we'll have that slushy snow, and then we'll freeze it. And then we'll get the lighter, the consistency of snow on top of that, which will create some driving issues on Sunday as well. It says closings aren't updated, still shows January 9th. So sometimes when the closings, I assume you're talking about closings, school closings, and sometimes the system, we got some closings in last night, and we're getting in closings right now. And we have to have someone go through and kind of sort out the ones that were from last night into today. But it was just things that came in the overnight hours. Getting hit pretty good at the Elkhart by the airport. Ice Festival get canceled for today. It was on as far as I know. I have not heard that it is not on. The Ice Festival in Niles. And by the way, I mean, it's near freezing today, but the Ice Festival that's going on in Niles, many years we're worried about the sculptures really melting. Tomorrow's going to be a really nice day for those ice sculptures because we're going to be in the 20s. But if you do go to to that festival this weekend, tomorrow the air temperatures will be in the 20s, but the wind chills will be near 0. And then on Sunday, the wind chills will be at about 20 below. So you're really going to want to have your most serious snow layers if you're going to be spending any time outside. Travel will be better on Saturday afternoon versus Saturday morning. Yes, Dylan texted that. So really we need to give time for crews to clean up things. Since today, timing is always the worst. This is my experience in 20 years of doing this here. Timing is always the worst with snow. We can get a big snow overnight and crews can clean it up, and in the morning we have 8 inches of snow on the ground and we still have travel that's okay. But if we get that 6 to 8 inches during the day when crews are trying to clean it up and everyone's driving on it, it usually causes very serious issues. So as we get into tomorrow morning and crews have had a chance to kind of catch up, I think tomorrow morning, the system's still going to be here tomorrow morning. It's just going to be lighter snow. And I think we'll still have some issues Saturday morning for driving. By Saturday afternoon, I think crews will have a time to catch up. There will still be lake effect snow falling, but it will be lighter in nature. It won't be as intense, and it won't be the slushy snow, which is really slick to drive in. So I do think travel later on Saturday will be better than what we're going to see today and tonight, and even tomorrow morning. Okay, is it going to get worse later this evening? Yes. So this is just the start of it. The most intense snow, I still expect that to be about 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock this afternoon and this evening. That's going to be the most intense snow. And then after midnight, it will start to get a little bit lighter. As temperatures get colder, which is the key here, temperatures are near freezing right now, and we're going to hover near freezing. So that gives us these bursts of heavy, wet snowflakes that's slushy. As we get into tonight, when it gets colder, the snowflakes will become smaller, but also the consistency will be a little bit different. And that will make the intensity of the snow a little bit lighter. But again, that really won't happen until midnight. So if you do have travel this evening, I wouldn't advise against a lot of travel this evening. Really, right now through middle afternoon, you're going to see some complications with the snow. A lot of streets are wet or just becoming snow covered now, but it will get progressively worse. And once we get to nighttime hours, then the visibility drops because it's dark, and we will be in that most intense snow. And I think that's going to be difficult for some travel this evening. Around what time? Oh, see, I'm getting a nice comment here. The ground is white and pretty. It's always nice and pretty when you don't have to travel in it, right? When you don't have to go outside, it's gorgeous, right? A new snow total for Shipshewana. You're probably going to end up around 4 or 5 inches of snow in Shipshewana, northern LaGrange County. The southern, really you get south into Kosciuszko, Fulton, Pulaski County. Amounts are going to be more like 2 to 4 inches because of some of that sleet that's been mixing in. We had Jessica Burns out doing road reports this morning, and there was a short period of time where sleet was falling, and she said, do you know what sleet feels like? It feels like shards of glass. And it was only funny because she was trying to say it in a joking way. She did go inside, and it was only sleet for a little while. But just be cautious because we do have this snow falling. Sometimes it will change to rain and sleet and then back to the snow. But that's part of the issue that we're seeing today. So tomorrow, you're picking up granddaughters in Manchester tomorrow. you know, middle of the day, you're going south away from the lake effect snow. I mean, roads are still probably going to have snow and be slick. It's not going to be impassable. I mean, the biggest thing with this storm system, this is not a blizzard. This is not a blizzard of 78. This is not going to keep you stranded in your house for days on end, but it's one of those where there are certain hours of today that are not going to be good for travel, that if you didn't have to do it, I would say don't this evening, basically. But outside of that, as we get into this weekend and into Sunday, I think there will still be roads that are snowy and slick. But I think if you have enough time and you're really paying attention to those changing conditions, you'll be able to do some traveling. It's not going to be perfect and clear and dry. And another element too is crews are going to work a lot over the next 24 hours. But once we get into Sunday, areas that are not cleared off and are still snowy and icy will stay that way for several days, because air temperature Sunday will be around 8 for the high, and we're only looking at the high at 5 on Monday and Tuesday. And when air temperatures are in the single digits, when we try to salt things, salt still technically, scientifically will work, but it's not as effective. When we see air temperatures that are around 18 or 20 degrees or warmer into the 20s, that salt, you lay down some salt and it works great. But once we get into those temperatures near 0 or below, it doesn't work as effectively. So once we get to Sunday, what you see on the roads is really what we're going to see for about 3 or 4 days, because we're not going to get any natural melting from Mother Nature because of the cold air that will roll in. So keep that in mind for travel. If you travel on Saturday and you see a road that's icy and snowy, probably Sunday morning, it's not going to improve, and it will be that way for the start of the week. So that kind of gives us some headaches as we get into next week as well. Oh, some of you are happy for the snow. Happy winter is arriving. Again, it's always great when you don't have to travel in it, right? Let's see. Winds are an issue. So the 3 big things, and I've talked about this a little bit. I'm still getting some questions on it, though, as some of you are tuning in. The 3 big things we're talking about that are complications with this storm are the amount of snow that we're going to see really today, the wind, which affects all of this, and also then the air temperatures and the wind chills Sunday through early next week. So the wind is going to be a big issue. If you've heard some of it or if you've seen outside, the wind, it's gusty now, but the wind speeds right now are at around 20 miles an hour. I expect the wind gusts to get up or between 40 and 45 miles per hour into tomorrow morning. And the problem with that is not only that that blows some of the snow. The snow today is kind of slushy and heavy, so the wind doesn't blow it as much. But the snow that falls tomorrow is going to be that light, airier kind. And when we get strong winds like that, that reduces visibility, makes it hard to see, but it also blows and drifts some of the snow that's falling. Now, this heavy, wet, slushy snow won't really drift very much because it's heavy, wet, it's slushy. So it would take some major winds to really move a pile of slush. But when we get that lighter snow, when we're back in the 20s tomorrow night and into Sunday, that strong wind will blow and drift the snow on the roads. And it will also create lower visibility. So the wind is going to be an issue. And then for our comfort level, the winds are going to be terrible, because on Sunday that wind will produce wind chills between 25 and 30 below. And obviously that's no good. So the winds today are going to be gusting up around 30, 35 miles an hour during the afternoon and evening today. And then we'll get to those strongest winds as we head into tomorrow morning, which they'll be that 40 to 45 mile per hour range. And then it will drop a little bit as we get into Sunday. Those winds will start to calm down a little bit. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get through all these questions. Is the 4 to 6 inches for today or total for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Okay, depends on where you are, Angel. So 4 to 6 inches, the snow totals for today are for today through first thing tomorrow morning, through about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So if you're in that 4 to 6 inch swath, we're talking those amount of totals through tomorrow early morning. So that's from the system. So this is a storm system that's going to roll through. The storm system will exit, and then the wind direction behind it will be out of the northwest. That will create some lake effect snow tomorrow afternoon and Sunday. And that 4 to 6 inch does not include the lake effect. The lake effect will produce some light snow totals on Saturday, really for everyone. Really, I don't expect much on Saturday afternoon and evening. But in Michigan, if you're in Berrien or Cass County, the lake effect, which we really haven't touched on a whole lot just because there's so much to get through before we get to Sunday, but the Sunday lake effect snow totals underneath the bands will probably see another 4 to 6 inches of lake effect snow. That would be really in specific smaller areas in Berrien and Cass County. In Indiana, you likely won't see any new snow totals on Sunday at all because those bands will all be to the north because of the direction of the wind. So the 4 to 6 inches is really for the system snow. Near the lakeshore, you might even end up with 8 inches of snow by the time we get into tomorrow morning. Let's see if I can. Happy birthday, Ashley. We get a snowstorm on your birthday. How about that, huh? Let's see if I'm trying to get some more of the comments in here. Okay. Hey, Santiago, I'm having a little trouble seeing all the comments. Is there a way? I see like 3 or 4 at a time, which they come through.
There's questions about snow totals in Elkhart.
In Elkhart.
In Bristol, Shipshewana, and the eastern.
Okay, Elkhart. You know what, DeMarco, I'm going to put up the snow map back there, and I'll talk about it a little bit. Yes, so a lot of us are going to end up around 4 to 6 inches of snow. The highest amounts are still expected in our far northern areas and closer to the lakeshore, and our lowest amounts in our southern areas. But if you are at all near the toll road, so Bristol or even Shipshewana, I still think you're going to end up with closer to 6 inches of snow. There is going to be a range because the sleet and the rain is expected to mix in at times, and especially this morning through this afternoon when our air temperatures are around 33, 34 degrees. That will limit snow accumulation. It's falling from the sky because it's colder up in the clouds, but as it reaches the ground, it really melts when it hits a lot of the roads. Not all the time, but some of that, and that will limit some of it. Also, when we're getting this heavy, wet, slushy snow, when it hits the ground, it also compacts. And so overall, I think this limits our totals in our southern area. So really, south of Plymouth, south of Warsaw, Rochester, Winnemac, I know you guys already have snow on the ground. We're still looking at 2 to 4 inches of snow. If you're a little farther north, we're looking at 4 to 6 inches, and then closer to the lakeshore, probably around 8. Now, keep in mind, these snow totals right here are just that system snow. This is just through tomorrow morning. In our Berrien County and Cass County, in these areas, we will likely see more accumulation, mostly focused on Sunday because of the lake effect. Shipshewana, you will get some lake effect. DeMarco, just stay on this. I'm going to show a few more things. Let me show you the lake effect because here's the system. I'm going to load it in here. It's taking a second. Okay, system snow. This is still system snow. This is still system snow. There's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning is still system. The system exits, and you see these kind of bands of snow. This is the far back side of the system, but also the winds coming across Lake Michigan will create some lake effect snow bands. So when we see those bands, I'm going to put a little pause here. When we see these little bands that kind of look like fingers of snow, we know the winds are coming off of the lake out of the northwest because they're creating these bands. And so if you notice, LaGrange is included in that, but so is most of Indiana. Probably the only place safe from lake effect snow will be down in Pulaski County tomorrow. Now this snow may give us an inch or 2 of snow in Indiana, but when the winds shift directions Saturday night and Sunday morning, they go from affecting Indiana to just affecting Michigan. You see that right there? That is Saturday night. And then notice how the purple color just stays in our Michigan areas. That's because the winds are no longer out of the northwest, they're more out of the west or southwest, and so they create these bands here, which means by Sunday, Indiana, you're in the clear because you're not getting any fresh snow, but Berrien and Cass County, you will continue to see some of those snow showers. So I had this question, and will the LaGrange snow turn to rain? There may be some sleet and maybe briefly some rain mixed in. I think it's mostly going to be snow showers. Okay, DeMarco, I'm going to come back off that. Now, let's see. Oh, I'm seeing a few more questions now. It's fluffy snow in Bristol so far. Heather Rose says hi, DeMarco.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather. It's good to hear from you. You know what? We have not had a chance to build snowmen or go sledding. You know what happens with this? We get kids excited about seeing the snow because they haven't really gotten to play in much of it, and then we get wind chills at 25 below on Sunday. So then it kind of ruins the fun here, right? If you're going to have any fun in it at all, then we're talking about those really cold conditions. All right. Sometimes my questions come in and sometimes not. I keep trying to refresh it, and I get about 3 or 4 in a row, and then then Facebook kind of pauses for a second. So let's see if I can reload it and get a few more. Okay. Oh, there, I finally there's the whole list. Okay, well, good? Okay. I think we're going to wrap this up here because I could talk all day about snow, right? I mean, it's still snowing outside. But if you do have more questions and I didn't get to it just because I didn't see it, definitely message me. My Facebook page is Cari Peugeot WSBT. You can also message WSBT's Facebook page as well because I can see that, but also our administrators can see it and send it to me. Santiago's sitting right there, and he comes over with all these Post-it notes of messages too and questions. Feel free to question. I'll be here through